And here to talk about WikiLeaks and other interesting things is Washington editor of the National Review, Eliana Johnson, and political reporter for the Washington Post, Karen Tumulty. They both join us from the nation's capital. Karen, I'd like to start with you. Julian Assange says everything when asked what we are undercovering as media in this race. What do you think of that? Is WikiLeaks being undercovered? And what do you think have been some of the most interesting and useful revelations, both in the closing weeks of this race and sort of to set the pace for the next administration?
Well, I do think they have a point that they, at least initially, were undercovered. I think that they are getting a lot of coverage now. But in terms of what has been revealed, the specifics are not all that revelatory, not all that shocking. But what it does is it really gives you a sort of behind-the-scenes look at the kind of hand-wringing and strategizing that goes on internally within a campaign. And also for those of us who are junkies about this stuff, you know, a lot of the backbiting, a lot of the organizational tension, which has been interesting in that the, Clinton operation on the outside seems to have run pretty, in a pretty disciplined way, certainly a big contrast from her last campaign in 2008. But what we see in these emails is that they are not without tension, and some of the old problems, including a lot of the sort of Clinton hangers-on, have continued.
Eliana, do you think that there has been a smoking gun, so to speak, in these WikiLeaks? And how much of the sort of level of coverage do you think can be explained by media bias? How much of the level of coverage do you think can be explained by Donald Trump just making so much news on other fronts that it's kind of hard to stay focused on the first thing?
Well, the first batch of these emails came out the same day and over the same weekend that the Trump Access Hollywood tape featuring his lewd remarks about making unwanted advances towards women came out. And so I do think it was natural that the Trump remarks were covered over and above these emails. And that's largely why I think that they've gotten less coverage than maybe they should have. There was less excitement and attention paid to the subsequent rounds of emails that have come out. I also think slightly understandably, but the smoking gun, I would say, that has been in these emails is not only do they reinforce what people already thought about Hillary Clinton, that there's a tremendous amount of strategizing about how she's presented to the public and about all the tensions between the forces in her network, the Clinton Global Initiative, the financial aspects of that versus her public appearances, what Bill Clinton is doing on the side. But they also haven't disabused the public of any notions that the public has had about her honesty, about her transparency, and they've reinforced those things. And I think that the biggest thing that could have come from these emails was something that would have made the public turn and look and say, oh, wow, these are honest people of character who what we've thought about them is wrong. And I do think it's a blow to Hillary Clinton and those in her orbit that there's been nothing like that to turn to and point to in these emails. And I do think that though Donald Trump is getting the bulk of the attention right now during the campaign, once she gets into office, which it does seem she's likely to do, these sorts of things are going to haunt her throughout her entire presidency.
EJ, there's been a lot more coverage in the conservative media of some of the particulars of what's been in the emails. Daily Caller in particular seems to be sort of flooding the zone. Have you seen anything sort of picked up that you think has the potential to break through into, sort of mainstream mass media and become more of an issue in the day-to-day of the remaining weeks of this campaign?
I think that her comment about wanting free trade and open borders is certainly going to haunt her with the far left. Her remark about free trade will, and her remark about open borders will haunt her with the right. What you hear immigration restrictionists or immigration hawks say, it's sort of, they're considered feverish and crazy for saying that what some on the left really want is open borders. And here we have Hillary Clinton really saying that outright in her emails. And so it won't be fair for her to say that these people are crazy right-wingers accusing the left of something that they don't really want and of not coming to the table with good faith about protecting the border and securing the border. No, that's what she said outright. And the other thing I think is what really looks like a pay-to-play on Morocco. She wasn't Secretary of State, but she was running for president when that happened, and I think that's pretty damning.